American comic books, we know that they're going in the tank. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, trying to throw their hat in there and give it a shot that aren't really attached to the comic book culture. So this is why I continue to say that comic books becoming mainstream, like going full mainstream, yeah, there's been elements of mainstream elements of it for a very long time, even before I was dead. But you get what I'm saying. Now it's like it's full mainstream, full corporate. One of the worst things to ever happen to comic books, American comic books. Now I get it. Ideally, that would have been the best thing because you mean it's more investments, more money. You know, you get better books, better material, live action depictions, animation that should be top tier. Fortunately, we've not gotten that. I guess you can make the argument that some of, when it comes to the big two, the books, not the books. The books are trash. The movies have been able to give some people something. Yet the movies, unlike anime to manga, movies aren't selling the books. I'm about to tell y'all a story. You may have heard about this already. Maybe you didn't. But it's one of the most insane things that I've heard in terms of a concept. But it shows that Hollywood elites belong nowhere near this. But I do think it is dead on arrival. And I will say this. I do prefer them to do this instead of using brands that people are already familiar with and trying to hijack them. Is it Emilia Clarke? I don't know how to say that. I just know of a face. I don't even know what the hell she's in. The Game of Thrones, as they say right here. The title is coming from Variety. This got announced the other day. Debuting a comic book that follows a single mom whose secret weapon is her period. Let's continue on. As a kid in London, Emilia Clarke got a distinct vibe from her local comic book shop, No Girls Allowed. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie. It's not true. As far as her getting that feeling, and if it is, and if she did get that feeling, it was self-perpetuated. She put that upon herself. I've been to a million comic book shops, and granted, I'm not from London, but I've been to a million comic book shops, and nobody gives a damn if, yes, it's a man's hobby. We will say that. We know that. But to act like women can't go up in there and go buy books, or they're not going to, they're going to be like shunned or pushed out, that doesn't happen. That's never been a thing. There have been long-time comic book. Yes, the vast majority of the comic book fans are male. That is not a secret, but to act like, okay, no girls allowed. Like, I guess the shops have signs on the front that say no girls. She made that up. The Emmy nominee, the lead of the HBO pop culture juggernaut Game of Thrones, was therefore doomed to spend her adolescence reading hand-me-down comics from her older brother and meeting Cape Crusaders on the big screen. Again, there was nothing stopping her from walking in a comic book shop herself, like her brother, and buying a comic book. Nobody would have stopped her. I believe nobody would have stopped her. This is a complete fraud, and Variety should be ashamed of themselves, presenting this as if it's true, because that don't even make damn sense. And someone's gonna tell me, "Oh, well, it's her truth." Well, her truth is a fraud. The Emmy nominee and lead of the HBO pop. Oh, I just read that. I read a lot of fantasy novels full of rich worlds as a child, like Lord of the Rings. That was always the place my imagination would gravitate toward. Later on, I went to Comic-Con for the first time at 22 with Game of Thrones. I was amazed at what I saw, almost entirely men. Look, it's a man's hobby. It is a man's hobby. That's not a secret. It's a man's hobby. It's not a man's hobby, though, because someone's actively trying to, like, push women away from buying a book, though. It's a natural occurrence, if you will. Sometimes there's disparity that exists among certain demographics or certain like human affairs, and not always does that mean that there's some like wrongdoing that's being done. I was amazed at what I saw. She says later, as tides turned in the industry and Me Too emerged, that is actually talking down upon that movement. So I would agree. I began to look at the community through those eyes, and it was arresting, she said. Clarke started dreaming about what a comic book might look like from her perspective. A notion that quickly gained steam. No, she's just rich and has a lot of money. Therefore, if she wants to make, because she has a big name, if she wants to, if she wants to do that, she'll be able to do that. Like nobody can stop her. She recruited an all-female creative team. That in itself is gonna tell me right there, your shit's dead on arrival. Not because of the fact that they're women, it's because you specifically went and formed a team of women. So you're not even going based on merit, which there's been women comic book artists, women writers that have been able to do a decent job, but not just be simply because they're fucking women. And made a comic featuring what is undoubtedly one of the most progressive female heroes in the genre. Boy, the variety is really shilling for this. M.O.M, Mother of Madness, that's the name they went with. Will publish in July from Image. Oh, Image. Co-written by Clark and Mugerte Marguerite Bennett, with art from Lila Laez. And doing my research, I found that 16% of comic book creators are female. Again, that doesn't mean that there's a wrongdoing. According to the 2019 study, and only 30% of comic book characters are women. Like, what's the proper percentage of female comic book characters? I wonder what that is. If anything, you're telling me if 16%, you telling me they overrepresented? Is that what you're telling me? I don't know. On the other hand, roughly half of comic book buyers are female. That is not there. And I would encourage you, because we talked about this on this show. The data that they try to use to say that that's the case is just some of the most severely flawed. Nobody in their fucking right mind believes that half of the comic book audience or half of the comic book buyers are female. Nobody believes that. No. Well, let's say this: deranged, the leftists and social justice advocates probably believe that shit. You should be a female and you could be painfully aware. Don't take my word for anything. You can go to the local comic book shop every Wednesday if you want. Mostly men are going to be the ones that are there, and it's been historically the case. Nobody believes that shit. Not even women who are longtime comic book fans are going to believe that shit. And again, that doesn't mean that there's a wrongdoing. Like I say, it's a man's hobby. There's nothing wrong with it. Hell, I mean, I got plenty of female characters on my wall and all sorts of things, some of which have been classically wrote by even females, women. So this is what they're going with, and she said something did not sit right with me in that exchange, blah blah blah. She said all signs are telling me to go make my own. And again, I'm glad that you're doing that. I mean, I'd rather you do that. Now, I get it. This concept is dead on arrival, but I'd rather you do this than go turn Captain America into a I don't know, a gender. Well, wait a minute, they're already doing that. Taking any classic character, race, gender swapping them, and then having them swing from their fucking armpits. This is what he says. She's a single mom that's got to get her shit done. This was born. This was born from the idea that single mothers are superheroes. I say this as someone, or I do that as someone that was raised by a single mother. You need superhuman strength to do that. When you get into your 30s and your friends start having kids, you're like, oh my God, I was not aware of what it took. Holy shit. All of your friends single moms? That's I'm not even gonna touch that. The bloating, the hair growth, the mood swings, the acne, all of it. We hate when it happens. Speaking for myself and everyone I've ever met who's had a period. What if we turned around and made that period something we could feel? It's this unique, crazy, superhuman thing that happens in our body. When Maya is scared, she goes invisible. When she's angry, she has superhuman strength. She can swing like Spider-Man from her armpit hair. Okay, guys, I'm not reading this shit anymore. I'm not reading any further than that. This comic book is dead on arrival. The only people that will support it will be cat ladies that want to support it out of spite, because a lot of us will be making fun of it. It won't get off the ground in the sense that it'll be like this long-standing thing. Maybe even Hollywood elites are going to maybe invest in it again. It isn't Millie Clark at the end of the day. Maybe they're going to invest in it, but it's dead on arrival, and it's not going to be seen as no legitimate competitor. As I said, I'd rather her, however, create this. And this is what you get. You want to know why? Actually, this is the way we'll frame it. If you want to know why Hollywood elites and weirdos, social justice advocates want to get a piece of like the Marvel, the DCs, the Star Wars, the Star Treks, why do you think they want to get control of their brands, those brands, and then be able to tell their story? Because they tell shit like this, and obviously it's dead on arrival in the event that it's not attached to one of those major brands. They can't bait and switch. But I will give you a word of advice. You're not doing anybody, any females, I would imagine, any women, a service by creating a character whose fucking superpower is to have a period and swing from a goddamn armpits like Spider-Man. Again, I accept the challenge, though, as well, because I will have a bunch of female characters that are part of my comic book universe. They'll be more appealing to you, and I will steal all of your female fans because they'll understand that I know what the fuck I'm doing, and you don't. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.